At certain moments, the boundary between reality and imagination blurs. The fall of the House of Usher begins at such a threshold, a tale that starts with a simple invitation and ends in a dark, psychological journey into a living house. This house is more than wood and stone. It seems to breathe, to watch, and to wait. The story is not about external monsters but about an inner terror, born from silence, solitude, and a mind on the verge of collapse. The narrator enters a home that is decaying both physically and spiritually. This prologue prepares the reader for an experience that is more than just a story. It is a personal confrontation with inner darkness and unspoken dread.
The unnamed narrator receives a letter from his childhood friend, Roderick Usher, pleading for him to visit. Concerned and curious, the narrator travels to the Usher estate. Upon arrival, he finds a decaying Gothic mansion surrounded by a dark, foggy swamp. The house exudes a strange, almost living presence, making the narrator feel uneasy from the moment he arrives. Inside the house, the narrator finds Roderick, pale, weak, and mentally unstable. Roderick is hypersensitive to sound, light, and smell, and he confesses his belief that the house itself is alive and exerting a negative influence on him. We learn he lives with his twin sister, Madeline Usher, who is also mysteriously ill and often falls into states of death-like paralysis. Soon after the narrator arrives, Madeline seemingly dies. Roderick insists on placing her body in a vault beneath the house before burial, to avoid accidental premature burial, a common fear of the time. When they place her in the tomb, the narrator notices her cheeks still hold some color. Roderick dismisses this as a symptom of her illness. As days pass, the house becomes more disturbing. Roderick grows increasingly paranoid and restless, while the narrator starts experiencing nightmares and hearing strange sounds. The boundaries between dreams and reality begin to blur. The oppressive atmosphere of the house deepens, and a sense of doom hangs in the air. One stormy night, in an attempt to calm Roderick, the narrator reads him a medieval tale of a knight and a monster. Strangely, the events in the story seem to mirror real sounds occurring in the house: creaks, screams, and crashes. Roderick becomes visibly shaken and starts muttering about having made a terrible mistake. Suddenly, Madeline appears, alive, bloody, and ghost-like. She had been buried alive and has now clawed her way out of the vault. She collapses into her brother's arms, and in a mix of terror and exhaustion, both of them fall dead to the ground. The horror of the moment overwhelms the narrator. Terrified, the narrator flees the house. As he runs into the storm, lightning cracks the sky, and he looks back to see the mansion splitting down the middle. The long-standing crack in the walls has widened. In a final act of destruction, the house collapses completely and sinks into the swamp, swallowed forever. The Usher mansion is more than a setting, it symbolizes Roderick's mind. The crack in the house mirrors the crack in his sanity. The return of Madeline represents suppressed fears or unconscious trauma rising back to the surface. The house and its inhabitants are intrinsically linked, both physically and mentally. Unlike other Gothic tales filled with external monsters, this story's horror is internal. It explores psychological fear, fear of death, madness, isolation, and the loss of identity. Poe's genius lies in turning the human psyche into a haunted house, a place where the true terror lurks within. With the death of Roderick and Madeline and the destruction of their ancestral home, the House of Usher, both literally and figuratively, comes to an end. This is not just a ghost story, it's a meditation on decay, legacy, and mental collapse. Poe crafts a chilling elegy for the human mind itself, one that continues to echo in the halls of literary history.
The Fall of the House of Usher is a masterpiece of Gothic and psychological fiction. Edgar Allan Poe skillfully erases the boundary between reality and imagination, portraying a horror that stems not from monsters but from the human mind itself. Roderick Usher is a symbol of a decaying psyche filled with dread. The Usher mansion is an external reflection of his collapsing inner world. His twin sister Madeline represents a suppressed fear that emerges from the unconscious. Poe's lyrical and visual language, especially his dark atmosphere and precise detail, draws the reader into the heart of a living, decaying house. In this narrative, external horror gives way to inner terror, rising from the depths of the characters' minds. This story is not just about the fall of a family, it is the poetic visualization of the collapse of awareness, memory, and the human soul.